8 years into my financial freedom journey, I hit my lowest point of motivation earlier this year. The $50,000 loss I took from the financial markets in April wasn't the cause, but it unveiled a deep-seated frustration. Progress felt painfully slow. I was staring down another 6 to 8 years to reach my goal, and the mental fatigue was setting in. I began to question, is compounding a scam? Since my portfolio growth seemed to rely more on my contributions than market returns, I lost faith in compound interest and with it my motivation. My life stalled. Other than my day job and things I did purely out of habit, I couldn't bring myself to do much else. Goals I've been working on slowed to inconsistent ebbs and flows, or grounded to a halt altogether. This period perfectly illustrated James Clear's quote, "You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems." My good habits kept me afloat. I was still working out 5 times a week, tracking my expenses daily, and funneling my paycheck into investments, even while losing faith in compounding. But simultaneously, I also sank into my bad habits, particularly consuming mental junk food. Commitments like reading, writing, and content creation slipped. It was my goal to habitualize them into my life, but I hadn't quite yet at that point. This cycle of bad habits and missed commitments fueled further doubts about my goals. In hindsight, that doubt was the turning point. It forced me to clarify my why and pull myself out of the rut. That phase of clarity seeking renewed my purpose and motivation. I'm now back on track, making more consistent choices than before. In this video, I want to share how I recovered and came back stronger from one of the lowest points in my life. I'll break down the key mindset shifts and habit changes that made the difference, drawing heavily from the powerful influence of Darren Hardy's The Compound Effect. My first mindset shift had to do with revisiting the concept of compounding. Logically, I understood Darren Hardy's definition. The compound effect is the principle of reaping huge rewards from a series of small, smart choices. Yet experiencing it is different. The lack of immediate payoff is the most challenging aspect since the subtle changes often feel insignificant. I needed to reaffirm this belief in the context of investing. Something new I learned was that, for most investors, compounding only feels real when returns begin to exceed personal contributions. For instance, if you contribute $40,000 annually, a 10% return might only match that contribution around the $400,000 portfolio mark. After this point, you no longer feel like you're doing the heavy lifting alone. Compounding is actually working all along, just quietly. It's the bamboo effect, years of root growth beneath the surface, followed by sudden visible growth. Revisiting this concept was crucial as it fully restored my faith in its long-term power. The second insight was understanding the power of choices and actions. As Darren Hardy says, choices are at the root of every one of your results, and they directly determine your behavior. The compound effect works both ways. A wrong choice or inaction can push you further from your goal over time. To ensure positive compounding, we must start by making new choices aligned with our goals, putting them to work through positive behaviors, and repeating those healthy actions long enough to establish new habits. The key to consistency is routines and rhythms, which automate our actions and build a reliable system. A critical element is bookending your days with morning and night routines. Since you can almost always control how your day starts and ends, these anchor points prevent the chaos of the workday from derailing your goals. To solidify these new habits, tracking is essential. It creates conscious awareness of our decisions, shifting choices toward desired behaviors. Because tracking is simple and thus easy to neglect, I weaved it in as seamlessly as possible by including a habit tab in my daily budget tracker. Since I already track my expenses daily, tracking my habits became routine. The magic is in the doing of simple things repeatedly. By building my new habits like reading and writing into my morning and night routines and tracking them, I'm slowly building the mental muscles for these habits and strengthening a habit system I can rely on when life inevitably gets tough. The third key insight was understanding the power of bad input. As Hardy states, Your thought processes is at the base of the results you create in life. Your thoughts, in turn, are driven by what you allow yourself to hear and see. The mental junk food I was consuming, which I resorted to for an escape or break from work, was actually exhausting my brain and destabilizing my emotions. Hardy's analogy profoundly impacted me. Your mind is like an empty glass. It will hold anything you put into it. The principle is simple: garbage in, garbage out. To get pure, clear water, we need to flush the negative with positive, inspirational, and supportive input. I immediately replaced most of the junk content with self-improvement material. The results came within days. I had never been more peaceful internally, energized mentally, and clear in my thinking. These benefits are very much aligned with my values of living an emotionally peaceful life, expanding my horizons, and having mental clarity. It's also this alignment that has enabled me to cut out the mental junk food so much and so fast. Reaffirming my belief in compounding, building positive habits into my routine, and intentionally feeding my mind with supportive content successfully turned around one of the lowest points in my journey. Where I was struggling to make any progress, I am now consistently reading 30 minutes to an hour daily, writing 30 minutes daily, learning Japanese 30 minutes daily, and implementing at least one good idea from every book I read. I am excited for the road ahead. A year from now, these simple, consistent actions will have shaped me into a different person with new capabilities. A few years from now, I'll be unrecognizable from who I am today. My question to you is this: what is one behavior you want to do more of? How will you integrate it into your routine? And how can you make sure you track it? Share with me in the comments below.